what women empowerment truly means to you today?
I think you should be economically independent and you should be able to do whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do, just go ahead and pursue it. Nobody should say no to your dream. That's one. You should know your mind. If you think that no, many a times we women do not have that strong thoughts even today. So we take thoughts from our teachers, friends, family. Decide, take a call, have a philosophy of your life. That's important. So just think about it 20 years back. I think I will not ask you to go very farther. I think even 20, 25 years back, the situation with saris was actually quite bad. People were not really interested. Even, the women of our age group, 50s, 60s, they were also not interested. So then that whole revival strategy for creating the sari groups happened about 20 years back. So probably about 15 years back. Then the whole country has so many sari groups today.
जागो रे देखो रे दुनियाए देखो रे.
Namaskar. Welcome to the special edition of Conversations Nostalgia Notes presented by Indian Silk House. As we celebrate the incredible milestone of 100 years of Indian Silk House, we honor these stories that reflect legacy, excellence, and timeless inspiration. Some lives inspire generations through resilience, compassion, and excellence. Today, my guest is someone who has transformed healthcare leadership in India through her commitment and excellence. Dr. Rupali Basu, Regional Head, East and AP, HCG Cancer Hospitals and Chairman, Health Plus Home Healthcare, former Managing Director and CEO of Woodlands Hospital and Apollo Hospitals, Kolkata. Dr. Basu sits on several committees of business chambers, company boards, and social work organizations. She is a passionate promoter of saris and now chairs the Doctors and Saris Group, Kolkata. It's an honor, Dr. Basu, to have you here with us today. Thank you for taking out time and coming.
Thank you for inviting.
Every inspiring journey begins much before the world sees the success. So what first shaped young Rupali Basu?
I belong to a city called Durgapur. It's a Sting township, small. I saw the first movie in class 10. And the dream was to become a doctor in the home full of engineers and come to Kolkata, the city of my dream. And that's how when I, scored very good, I was good at studies and many things else. And then came to Kolkata, got admission in HCG Medical College, became a doctor there. And then, the whole life changed. I think that small town and refined tastes, artistic senses, all came from Durgapur. The learning of the difference between a road and an avenue happened there. Okay. A tree-lined road is called an avenue. Okay. And we used to be part of a very picturesque city. So that artistic sense of the city and the very structured way of the school life, I think has given me the basic idea of a Rupali Basu later. Because I kind of relate to those incidents, the grooving, the learning from my childhood.
Right. Wonderful. Healthcare is one of the most demanding sectors professionally and emotionally also. So were there in life, in your early days, there were like some moments of self-doubt or challenges that tested you the most?
Not really. I was extremely, as I was saying, that I was extremely good at academics and many other aspects, which in childhood we are trained to. So I was good at sports. I was good at studies. I was good at actually managing. I was the school prefect, which had 9 sections. We had 5 Bengali sections, 2 Hindi and 2 English. Each class had 45 to 50 students. It was a very large school. And I used to also do NCC, where we used to learn rifle shooting and march past and Morse code. And, those trainings where we were being told that when the country will be at war and the army will be in shortage, then we will be, the NCC cadets will be called to fight for the country.
Okay, so you were ready to be a fighter.
To be a fighter.
Absolutely.
And trained to be. I used to do my rifle shooting. It was .22 bore mark. We were trained to do prone position rifle shooting. And I used to be very good at my target.
Okay.
So with the combination of, I think, the other aspects of life and at the same time the training of, of NCC, the sports and studies together. I used to be always first in amongst all the 9 sections. When I did my board exam, I stood first in my school. In class 12, I came first. So, the academics was very, very, very big in my life. And at the same time, I think the refinement of all the training that I got. And certain things, of course, is very inborn, probably because my Baba used to be a painter and Ma is a singer. So those aspects of the creativity also came in. So I can paint well, I can design well. So a combination of many things.
These qualities maybe the world is not aware of. We know you as Dr. Rupali Basu, who is leading the institutions and managing systems and transforming systems. All these qualities are in front of the world that people know you as. But there are many more aspects of you which maybe the world is not aware of.
Yeah, actually, what happens is this other aspects of the life's qualities. With that, when you become the ambition of becoming a doctor was there because I was good at studies.
But you didn't have an environment of doctors at home, as you said. The engineers So how did that seed come into your mind that you want to become a doctor?
Actually, the biology was my very, very...
Even I was very good in biology, but I was very scared to see the blood. So in my plus 2, when I had taken science and in biology, when I had to do toad dissection, I would just used to skip that class. Somehow I used to manage not to go to school that day or not to attend that dissection whenever it was given to.
And mine was exactly the opposite. I used to not only do my dissection, I used to do it for my friends too.
Okay.
So for you, no toad, for me maybe 3 toads. So it was like, probably the love for the subject, love for the understanding of human philosophy, the animal world, even the plant world. The botany was one of my favorite subjects. I used to dream about Jagadish Chandra Bose, and so the science actually attracted a lot. And with that, I also I've got always a lateral thinker. Always think which others are not doing. What is the one which I can do? The exclusivity bit is also there. So probably in the house of engineers, I thought differently, that I need to be different. But I can't be so different. So probably that part of being part of the home of engineers actually allowed me to become a doctor, but very atypical doctor, and took up hospital management as a subject.
That was again, off the league. Like a lot of people take, they pursue the specialization and go into that line. But when you had taken up this leadership, hospital management, it was not very popular. So how did you decide that you want to take up that branch of the
So it was not popular, it was not there, Kavita. There was nothing called hospital management when I took up hospital management. Because of the simple reason, I had this 30,000 feet above vision all the time. I think it was there since childhood. I used to look up not only for my answers, I used to look up for my friends' answers. I was very friendly. I had my friends. So how do I answer mine and how do I answer others? So I used to do, maybe the same question will have 4 answers. So that was there from the childhood. And when we were in college, it was a public college, as you know, HCG Medical College, a very large college, 1,200 beds, and we had 150 doctors. And then you understand that there's so many hospitals are very complex as an organization. There are patients, there are doctors, there are staff, there are there are so many diseases, so many tests, so many variety of And each and every human being is different than other. So we are all chromosomally different. We don't look alike. We don't think alike. So that the huge matrix actually told me that, these organizations can be run better. That came in from within. And I did my house job in gynae. And as you know, house staffs in those days, in 1990, we used to run the hospital. So 40 deliveries, average 40 deliveries in our admission days. So I have delivered babies in bus, on the road, in the lift, because, the medical colleges, patients come from everywhere. They are referral epics hospitals. So we used to do 40 deliveries a day. Then the next day would be the major OT, then the minor OT. So almost 36 hours down the line, we could sleep. And we used to sleep in the hospital benches. I can sleep anywhere if you even those habits.
No, the doctor's life
lie
is
down,
really
I'll
tough.
just do.
It's really tough.
Today they call it a power nap, but in those days it used to be a must for then looking after, because the hours were very long. Because the house staffs used to manage. There's 150 house staffs, we manage the 1200
But
bedded.
this phase continued for how many years before you actually actively moved into management of a hospital?
No, it's very beginning. I did the house job in gynae, and then I understood that I have to do something in running institutions, and there was nothing there. At that time, there was no hospital management in India. So I was told to go and become a specialist in public health. So there was a subject called preventive and social medicine. That's a structured like a forensic medicine, like gynae, like pediatrics, like surgery. So preventive and social medicine used to be the one which actually talks about the community health or public health. So I've been told that you study that, and I joined there. So we all have to do post-graduation.
So
I
that
did
was that part
That
you
was the
did in
beginning
India only?
In India.
So
yeah. All
later
India
you
Institute
went to Harvard?
Later on, yeah.
Okay.
So once I became a public health expert, I joined an NGO. You normally do community health. And community health is all about preventive health. And you are actually making people not to fall ill. And, rehabilitative health, those kinds. So then at some point after 4-5, I did very well. We used to travel outside Kolkata with a mobile van in the villages and did clinics there. 30-40 patients waiting. I used to have a mobile clinic, and mother and child, mostly mother and child. That was my beginning of my career.
Okay.
And then I understood that no, I'm missing out of that curative part of the hospitals where surgeries happen, where the cancer gets treated, where you have very sick patients in the ICUs and you treat them out. That has we doctors, we are kind of focused on patient care. Whatever the world tells us, as a tribe, we are focusing on our patients primarily. And that's what at least I was very, very focused. And so I was missing. And then I, of course, joined Kolkata.
So at that time, what was your age at that time? Were there any, we see strong women as, strong women in front of the public. But I feel, there are some silent sacrifices which every strong woman goes through. So was there anything of that sort that you witnessed at that time?
Yeah, a lot. Because when you are, pursuing your career, you are thinking in medicine, and you are thinking of hospital management, you're thinking of how to run the hospitals well, how do you look after the patients well. You actually don't have really a public life. And many years in our life is actually very stretched. It's all 14 hours, 15 hours, 18 hours. We've spent, as I said, in colleges, we used to spend 36 hours before you actually go to bed and sleep. So we can eat anything because and do not sleep. Even today, those habits continue. So we can, when people say that 8 hours, 8.5 hours, we kind of silently laugh. That, oh, acha, 8 ghanta. আমাদের তো 16 ঘন্টা না হলে হয় না।
Today, we often speak about technology, robotics, AI, and innovation, as you said, but in professions centered around human lives, how do you preserve empathy and emotional connection? After all, when we show to a doctor, that emotional bonding with the doctor is the first thing that comes to the mind of the patient to bring in the confidence that, this person is going to be able to treat me or, to make me healthy again. So the first emotion that comes is the connect and the emotional connect with the doctor. So with so much of technological advancements, how that emotional connect is maintained by a doctor?
You are talking about absolutely a very important subject, because we are more and more losing out on that human touch, especially probably those are the things which are negative for a digitized and very high-tech world, where you are actually losing out. Even the people who are born in the digital world, who are the young doctors today, they don't connect the way we used to connect in the olden days, because we have seen the analog, we have seen the manual, and today's day is very different. So today what I do is I put in a structure on that too. So what we do is we say that young doctors, that how much time you're spending with your doctor is important indicator.
Okay.
So that's important. You have cameras everywhere. So you tell them that you have to talk. You have to start your conversations. I've been told that this is how you have to explain yourself. You have to talk to the patient. You spend time. So that's one single indicator if you give to all doctors, that spend 15 minutes when you are in OPD. And don't just, tell them, no, this is okay, 5 minutes and gone. Even if you're understanding, you need to connect. You need to touch. You need to, we are used to touch the pulse. We used to look at auscultate the chest. We need to palpate the abdomen. So we are taught to all that. So the physical touches and examinations, physical examinations actually give you the indicator of what is going on in that patient's life or the person's life. So you need to do that. In today's day and age, doctors and everybody else actually don't do so much of touch. But for us, it is very important. So we tell them that do that, and we monitor.
Okay.
So in a way, not everybody dies, but it is necessary. I think it is necessary to spend time. How much time you are spending is one very good indicator.
Okay.
Other than that, we also, kind of see that whether the nurses are responding. Because it's not only the doctor's time, it's also the nurses, it's also the other staff. It's particularly nursing time. So we measure that, suppose a patient is admitted in the hospital. The nurse has to see instant. So it is zero second response. The doctor has to come within probably 2 hours. The consultant doctor can come maybe, the junior doctor has to come within half an hour to 2 hours. So and then, those kind of indicators, if you do, these are the processes that we do. So that everybody has to be treated well. Every patient needs.
Any memory that you want to share with us of the COVID times? Because that was the most challenging times in our lives, what we have seen. So medical, of course, we in India with limited resources and huge population, we did remarkably well to combat the situation, but still a lot more to be done. That's what the scenario was that at that time. So what was your experience?
Many experiences. People were so lost. They didn't know what's happening. They didn't know the disease. They didn't know what to do. And it was happening every person's house. Everybody was falling sick. And they can't really much help from friends, family.
Are we prepared for, if anything, God forbid, if anything of that sort hits again, are we prepared now for this, after the first learning, are we prepared for the second one?
Didn't we do well? We did very well in our country.
Yeah.
And we will do again. Yes, we should be confident, and we are.
Okay.
Of any eventuality, we have the collective, the brain that we have, the collective knowledge that we have, or the training that we have in the country. I think we are poised to take anything ahead. Anything, any problems like COVID, I'm sure we are going to take charge of that.
But still, when we compare healthcare in India and healthcare abroad, there are major differences, of course. And those who can afford, their first option, still, is it so that they would go abroad and get themselves treated? Is it so?
No, so as you know, the medical has got the very primary level care where you have some issues with your health, so you go to and see a doctor, the primary care, we call that. So that's, I think is fine with everyone, although I have issues in diagnosis and all that. Then there are secondary care where there are minor or medium-sized surgeries or hospital admission. And then you have the apex where you have the very critical surgeries or critical diseases. All through, I think the diagnosis of your problem is very important.
So, you as practitioner and government as the lawmaker, they are trying to get those technologies to India very soon. This will be available here.
That's what we are doing for last 10 years. So today, if you ask me, and once they're here, the way you deliver the care will be the best possible. There are many hospitals in India who does the similar level or maybe better care than anywhere, any part of the world. Yes, if you ask me that, is it happening to everybody, all Indian? Everybody? No. I can't really say that's my dream, that everybody should.
Because of the cost factor?
Because of the cost, because of the accessibility, because of availability, because of course, cost. So once that part is done, I think we should be, say for example, for the government hospitals, India, we are 60% of the population actually go to public hospitals, which are run by government. 40% go to private hospitals, which are run by the private organizations, which are paid services. And the government hospitals are supposed to be free services. So if both qualities are same, then these hospitals like AIMS or a PGI Chandigarh or even SSKM hospital, the levels of care are very good. So if that is done, then you are actually doing it for everybody.
But here,
that's the dream.
But here in Calcutta, private hospitals and government hospitals, the huge difference. There is huge difference, and for a common man to get a good treatment becomes really costly. And one of the reasons is, like, many people have insurance, medical insurance is available, but for those who still have insurance, there is some kind of conflict between the patient, the insurance company and the hospitals, and the bills those are raised by the hospitals. इतने अनाप शनाप उसमें खर्चे डाल देते हैं कि इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज भी मतलब थोड़ा सा एक कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कहीं ना कहीं इसमें आ जाता है. तो उस केस में व्हाट डू यू थिंक द चेंज शुड बी ब्रॉट इन द सिस्टम so that this cost factor is taken care by the common, at least for the common people, healthcare is available at a reasonable cost.
So I think we are working with the government teams, and government and private hospitals have worked together. And if you really ask me today, the country has got so many schemes and cards, say Ayushman Bharat or Shastro Shati Ferrari. Everybody actually are insured by government. And they have the cards, and they can go with the trusted card to any hospital. Actually, that is what is available today in West Bengal, and it is there in any other part of the country today. Today's country is much better than the olden days, because you have every Indian is supposed to be insured and supposed to get the same kind of treatment which the rich people can get. There will be differences, but your probably the room will not be air conditioned, or the khana may not be coming into a 6-course khana than a simple dal chawal. That is, I think, is acceptable. That is acceptable everywhere. If you go to have a cup of coffee in a small tea shop or a small coffee shop, or you go to Taj Bengal, it will be different. So that, I think, facility-wise is okay. But the treatment protocol, the medicines, or the if you have, a loss, which we say, it's an indicator, average length of stay after a surgery. It will be same for if it's a heart surgery done for me or you or anybody, or our staff at home, or our drivers who's driving, or, anybody. Should be the same. Should be that 4 days down the line you are back home. Or after a kidney transplant, if it's 9 days, then 9 days. A loss is actually an indicator of the clinical excellence. So we should have the same indicator for everybody. And that's the dream, actually. So the moment we are all focused on the same objectives and work towards that, I think the things will happen.
I think the next generation will see much better healthcare. As one of the most respected women leaders, your journey inspires countless women. But leadership journeys for a woman often come with unique expectations. So, on the personal front, on the personal life, did you face any pressure or any expectation from your family or for your closed ones? Was there anything like that?
Not really. But I'm very fortunate to have my parents were always pro. Baba used to say from the childhood that we are 5 of us, and he used to say that everyone need to be doing their post-graduation, everybody should be professionally qualified, everybody should earn. So that was our childhood dictum. When I got married in Kolkata, so Shondeep was very supportive. Always.
He's also a doctor?
No, he's not. He's a behavioral scientist.
Okay.
So, but he was always supportive. Even today, never said anything to me. And guides me always. That do this, do that. Knows what exactly I'm doing. But then he doesn't come into the way of my work or in my ambition. No, he never said that ever. And my daughter, who is now 28, she's a veterinary surgeon. She's
in Calcutta?
She's in Calcutta now.
Okay.
Just came in. She learned veterinary sciences in New Zealand, and is getting. Has started her practice for the last 4 years and getting good reviews. And I think today, I get advices from her. Both of them actually are very nice human being. They are grounded. They have high standards. I think I didn't really face much of challenges in that way. But the world is full of a lot of challenge. The moment you are into your work mode in an executive world, the colleagues, the seniors, the companies, there are challenges all the time. So you need to be smart, you need to understand the situation and have to kind of steer like a fish in the water.
Okay, so this is the message Rupali Basu wants to give to the aspiring leaders. What women empowerment truly means to you today?
I think you should be economically independent, and you should be able to do whatever you want to do. The choice and the economic independence, I think these two are very important for all women. You need to feel empowered and confident of what you want to do. If you want to become a housewife and stay at home, look after the family, go ahead and do it, because that's your choice. But if you think that, no, I want to do this, I want to, paint, or I want to run a restaurant, or I want to do some work in the mines to bring out, whatever the coal, or, I want to become a mine worker, then go ahead and do it. So
where there is a will, there is a way. This is what ultimately,
not really. I would rather like to say that whatever you want to do, just go ahead and pursue it. Nobody should say no to your dream. That's one. You should know your mind. If you think that, no, many a times we women do not have that strong thoughts even today. So we take thoughts from our teachers, friends, family. Decide, take a call, have a philosophy of your life. That's important. Like for me, it is balance and boundary. So I will not cross boundaries. I will also not lose balance. I try to keep it within that. So have a philosophy of life. Have the confidence of what you want to do, the choice you make. And then you go ahead and do it. Economic independence is very important. You must have your own money. So
well said, Dr. Basu.
Sure.
One thing that women should stop apologizing for, what is that?
You shouldn't apologize for anything. Whatever you... one thing meaning, I would say, should not apologize for it.
I see a lot of women, cribbing and, giving excuses for not doing what they want to do. They feel, that some social boundaries or some social restrictions are there for which they are not able to proceed further or pursue what they want to do. So, there are always a sense of apology, a sense of complaint that we hear. So, how to, in these situations, how do you handle these situations? What message would you want to give to those?
So, two things. I'm hearing two areas actually from you. One is that you are complaining, or you are cribbing, or you are actually being jealous of your friends or of your things that you are not been able to do.
Yeah.
So I would say to those people that, we have to learn accepting things. The moment you are accepting that, you're okay, others are doing is fine, I can't do is fine. You have to kind of accept the situation, be a bit analytical, use your, grey cells, which I do use all the time. And I feel very proud that my IQ is still at 180. So you kind of, be analytical, understand and accept. Then you are at peace with yourself. That's so very important. Otherwise, if I've been thinking about what the others are doing and being jealous of people or be envious or be cribbing all the time that our holona, how does it really matter? Holona doesn't matter. The others, rather I am actually happy for others. So it's the other way around. I would rather say that, oh, tor jawata to bhalo, it's so good. You have a good car, so good. You're going for this holiday, go. So being at peace with yourself and accepting you as yourself is so very important. Give yourself an hour's time every day. That me time, talking about yourself, thinking what are the good things that you have done, what you have, and feel confident with those. I think that's the most important part. Have a me time every day, 1 hour for yourself. That's my advice to all of you. It will make your mental peace and you make you accept as you are and be at peace. That's important.
Very well said. Thank you so much. So now, since you are connected with saris and the doctors group, so do you think saris represent grace, elegance and our heritage? So how can we preserve that? What is the future of sari? What is your take on saris?
So I started wearing saris when I was entered college, which was very early, before I actually became 20. In school, I didn't. But barring the Saraswati Puja days and all that, or Durga Puja, Ashtami day, that way. Like the way all, I think, the children are in this part of the country. But the more when I became an adult dresser and started wearing saris, I started understanding that's not today, that's almost 40 years back. I understood that it is it's something which is such a magical attire. It just doesn't need any size. It doesn't need any, you can drape it any way. You can wear it. You can, combination of whatever. And I've started learning the weaves. Started learning the hand embroideries, the handmade hand blocks, and something like that indigenous part of handmade things.
Okay.
So, and then we understood that, the younger people are actually not very.
Yes, that is what my point is. What is the future? Because, younger generation, unless, love or develop this, the inclination to wear saris and to appreciate saris and handmade stuff, how can the craft go further?
Kavita, just think about it 20 years back. I think I will not ask you to go very farther. I think even 20, 25 years back, the situation with saris was actually quite bad. People were not really interested. Even the women of our age group, 50s, 60s, they were also not interested. So then that whole revival strategy for creating the sari groups happened about 20 years back. So probably about 15 years back. Then the whole country has so many sari groups today. So we have doctors in saris group. There are 6 yards.
I think doctors and the teachers are the most sari lovers or the wearers of sari.
Women, even otherwise women. I think that we have created that in our, and as I said, my boundary is one of my philosophy of life. So when I understood that this is the community where I can at least work, the doctors they will listen to me, they like me.
So tell me more about this community which you just talked about.
So we, two of our doctors actually created a Doctors in Saris group about 6 years back. In 2018, I think we created 8 years now. Anuradha from Bangalore and Dr. Kavita from Indore, they started this Doctors in Saris, which was a Facebook group.
Okay.
And people started, kind of joining. And today we have, I think, 43,000 doctors all over the world.
Okay.
And we all, do nothing. Actually, we wear saris and we wear handlooms and hand-woven saris. Mostly we focus on that.
Okay.
But then there is no pabandhi that you can't wear a synthetic or, a mill-made saris, because those are also much more stronger as a fabric, and they're also cheaper. It comparison to the handloom. So people do wear, and they're also for the durability is stronger. They're stronger fabric.
Basically, to promote saris, wear saris, post pictures, talk about saris.
This is all talk about. And we do have groups of in the entire country, and entire world now. There are, I was going to New Zealand the other day, and I was going to meet my daughter, but 3 years back, and I said that, who's there, sari? Is there any doctors and sari group member in Auckland? And there was, immediately there was response, and we did a meetup and all that. So all over the world now, we doctors and sari group members are there. In Calcutta, we have about 700 members. I chair the group, and we meet up every month with a look guide and kind of tell them what to do. And I always believe that saris is not, it's not just the saris. You have to have the proper matching accessories, the bag, the shoes, the hairdo, the makeup. So we kind of try to tell everyone that this is how it is. So at least one day, and they just love it. So it's now 5 years that Kolkata group has happened. And we have very enthusiastic members, not that all the time they have been able to come in all meetings. But I know that each one of them actually love the, the conversation, the understanding of saris.
Do you have any particular sari memory attached to any important milestone in your lives?
Which one I would say? There are every milestone that has happened in my life, I have worn a shadow. So the last one I think was I got the She Awards. I was wearing a Patan Patola and with my choker in one of the 5-star hotels. And actually, the award was about creation of She Awards. So I'm the one who, and the CEO who was talking about me he said it in such a way, they didn't actually give the name Rupali Basu. They were talking about this one lady who actually called 2 people and come them over. So there was a full story. And everybody in the whole, there was some 400 plus, audience in the hall, and they were thinking that who's this lady? And I was also not in the front row. I was somewhere in between seated. I was not being told. I was just being told that come. Thank God I was in my sari because I knew that something was happening. I had that hunch. So I was wearing one of my probably the most expensive sari with my choker and pearl and gold and all that. And then I was called that this is Dr. Rupali Basu. So I had to walk up from the middle to the end. It was felt so good. Good. When you get appreciated publicly, even actually any appreciation, that pat on the back is so important in life.
Absolutely. You have beautifully balanced professionalism with rootedness. How important is it for a modern woman to remain connected to cultural identity?
Very important, because cultural identity or identity of oneself is related to the past, the present and the future. And you belong to a geography. So I'm very, very Indian in my thought processes, my eating habits, in my wearing habits. I like the Indian silk, I like the Jamdanis, I like the Banarasis, I like the Kanchivarams. And then, of course, I represent that Indianness to the whole world because we travel all over the world. And medicine is such a subject. There's a lot of work happens all over the world. So you need to actually travel to be in touch, to be updated.
So when you travel all over the world, first thing people see is what you're wearing. So appearance is the first thing that appeals to people. So when you wear a sari, does it command power? Does it command respect? Does it show Indianness to the whole world and you get appreciation all the time for that?
Yeah, the moment I've got so many awards for best dressed awards wearing a sari in our medical conferences, so many of them. And even otherwise, the moment you wear a sari and you accessorize, you do dress up, you do your hair. To me, the bag and the shoes are also very important. When you're draping, you feel very confident. Actually, the most important part of a sari is that it brings in confidence. And then you face the world.
And if you're wearing a good weave or a handcrafted sari, definitely it speaks of the class.
Well, it talks about the human who has built that.
Yes.
So I think about when I wear a jamdani, I'll think about the Tati who's actually made it.
Yes.
So his family has been, supported by the weave that we have been wearing.
Yeah.
So there is so much of emotion with it. And so much of emotion and groundedness and the people that when the person who makes a jewelry, handcrafted jewelry or a handcrafted bag or a hand embroidered sari, it's so much more connected to people. So I love people. I love getting connected because that's what my work is and that's what my life is.
Good to hear that. Dr. Basu, let's move to a lighter segment now, some fun moments.
Okay.
So it's a quick rapid fire round for you. Leadership in one word.
Confidence and honesty.
Strength or sensitivity.
Sensitive.
Sari or a power suit.
Sari.
Always.
Always.
One weave that you love the most.
Okay, so jamdani.
Okay. A habit you never skip.
Reading.
Success or peace.
Peace.
One woman who inspires you.
My daughter today and my ma in the past.
Okay. One word that defines legacy of Indian Silk House.
Classic. Classic.
Okay. And what has been your experience with Indian Silk House?
So I'm coming to Indian Silk House for now 3 decades. Once I started wearing saris and started earning my money and can spend. I have bought all my saris mostly, almost 90% of my saris are my own money, which I have earned. So I have been coming and it's been a good experience all through because of your, it's a very quiet place. Staffs are very nice. They kind of are eager to show. And I will, I'm choosy, so naturally I will ask for from this corner to that corner.
I have this experience with you. So most of the time when you come, I have been there.
Yes.
So I've made an effort myself to show you because I know your taste and, I also, feel good that, when we can put best collection of ours in front of somebody who values it and who actually appreciates it. So whenever you have come to my store, Indian Silk House Exclusives on Lake Road, I have taken personal care that I satisfy you and give you the best of my style.
Thank you.
Before we conclude, I would love to ask you one final question.
Yeah.
After decades of leadership, transformation, and inspiring countless lives, what legacy would ultimately you would like to leave behind?
I would like every woman specifically who is thinking of becoming a successful woman to think of 3 things. One is that you need to be intelligent, work on your intelligence. So study, increase knowledge, train, and go about everywhere. So that's the first I. And then the second I is integrity, honesty, values, very important. And the third is, of course, excellence. Whatever you do, if you can do with high standards, highest possible, the best possible way, then I think everything goes smooth. So I, these are the 3 things which I have learned from Warren Buffett. So and share the same success mantra to all of you. I personally would like all of you to remember a simpleton who came from a small place but had the dreams of the world, of the global dreams, and have tried to live my dreams. Thank you.
So your journey and your efforts truly reflects this. So thank you, Dr. Basu. Thank you for coming here and thank you for talking to us.
Thank you so
It has been a wonderful experience.
Thank you so much.
We at Indian Silk House are also committed to maintain these values and the commitment that we have for the craft to bring excellent weaves, excellent saris with beautiful craftsmanship. This is our motto and this is what we are committed to. So thank you for coming here and
so much.
talking to me. Namaskar.
Thank you, everyone.